Hello, I'm Carl Palmer, the Deputy Director for the Safer Consumer Products Program, and I'm happy to provide you with this program summary of activities going on in the Safer Consumer Products Program since our last meeting in 2021. This presentation will provide updates on changes we've made to the candidate chemicals list, the new priority products adopted this year, ongoing research and projects evaluating proposed new priority products, some of our key work on alternatives analysis, news on upcoming regulatory response activity, relevant legislative action this year, some of our collaborative efforts, and exciting new program growth and organizational changes. In our ongoing efforts to monitor and curate the candidate chemicals list, we continue to improve the process and to clean up the data. Since our last meeting in November 2021, we have updated the candidate chemical list 3 times. The tables on this slide and the next slide contain the most recent revisions to the CCL that involve changes in a chemical's hazard trait authoritative list basis for listing. We have also provided some potential uses for each new chemical added to the CCL. This quarter included relatively few changes from updates to authoritative lists. Prop 65 published a new updated list over the summer that included a few new chemicals and the removal of a few chemicals related to tobacco smoke. No other authoritative lists had changes. A few more changes were made regarding the comprehensive review of some classes listed on our web portal CalSafer. In total, 7 new chemicals were added. This slide shows that 5 candidate chemicals were removed and 6 HTALs were removed. These changes resulted from comprehensive review efforts and to changes in the Prop 65 list. Updating the CC list is a complex and time-intensive process because of the extensive nature of the collective CC list, the ever-changing authoritative list, and the fact that some chemicals or substances are on the authoritative list which are excluded from our regulation, for example, pesticides. Also, there's a lot of overlap of chemicals appearing on multiple lists. We do our best to capture when new chemicals or additional hazard traits are added or removed from all the lists. If you have questions regarding how to interpret or navigate the CC list, please let us know. Our regulations allow us to add candidate chemicals to our candidate chemical list via rulemaking. Though to date we have not added any chemicals to the list, we are contemplating adding 2 classes of chemicals to the CC list, microplastics and PPDs. Note that adding these 2 classes of chemicals to the CC list would not have any direct regulatory impact. As we discussed in our last GRASS meeting, microplastics are an ever-increasing threat to human and environmental health. Adding microplastics to the CC list will allow the SCP program to explore adding consumer products containing plastics that degrade into microplastics to the priority products list for regulation. Adding PPDs to the CC list would help us ensure that tire manufacturers consider this class of chemicals during their alternatives analysis for 6-PPD in automotive tires and for potential regulatory responses once the AAs are complete. As you know, we launched the SCP timeline function on our website to provide the status and details on our major rulemaking, priority product, and alternative analysis projects. We have since modified the timeline to make it more user-friendly, easier to read, and to provide search and sorting functions. Checking the timeline is a good way to get a high-level status update on our major regulatory projects, and we will continue to update and improve the timeline to promote transparency and accountability. This year, we have listed 2 priority products subject to the SCP regulations. In April, we listed treatment products containing PFAS used on converted textiles and leathers. We received notifications from 34 companies, 22 of which indicated they have left or intend to leave the California market. 8 companies indicated they will be using alternatives to PFAS in their products. No companies indicated that they will be doing an alternative analysis, and we are pursuing compliance and enforcement efforts with 4 companies. Ultimately, we will evaluate compliance of those companies selling treatment products in California and take enforcement action if necessary. The other priority product adopted this year is nail products containing toluene. The effective date of regulation will be January 1st, 2023. This listing took longer than anticipated because we ended up including an alternatives analysis threshold. We added this AAT because we found in our sampling and analysis of nail products a number of products containing toluene at very low levels, indicative of contamination rather than intentionally added toluene. The AAT, set at 100 parts per million of toluene, is used to ensure that only manufacturers who intentionally use toluene are subject to our regulations. We will be adding specific language to the regulations to identify the documents we relied on supporting the AAT and analytical method performance criteria for manufacturers to meet AAT exemption requirements. We will publicly notice and accept comments on these provisions within the next few months. I also wanted to share information on our ongoing efforts on nail products. In July, we held a public workshop to highlight results of 3 major nail products projects: chemical screening research, conducting an information call-in to manufacturers, and a nail products lab study conducted with our environmental chemistry lab. This slide identifies the 38 different chemicals in nail products that we evaluated for hazard and exposure potential. Of the 38, we determined that 32 chemicals did not warrant further research or concern at this time. Of the remaining 6 chemicals, 1 chemical, toluene, has already been listed as a priority product. 2 others, MMA and triphenyl phosphate, were identified for potential product listing, and we are moving forward with those. 3 other chemicals were recommended for additional research as resources allow. This slide is an excerpt from the workshop session on the call-in project. The slide shows that we received information on the various types of nail products where TPHP is used, the large number of products using it, and the functional use of the chemical. These data are just some of the information needed, but often unavailable, when we investigate potential priority products. This slide summarizes the key findings and recommendations shared at the NAILS workshop. We have learned a great deal in each of these 3 project areas that help us evaluate the nail product world and weigh the various factors and values relevant in selecting specific priority products. We will be finalizing reports for each of these projects in early 2023, and we hope to publish some of our findings in scientific journals as well. You will hear from staff at the meeting about other methods and tools we are using to add to our toolkit. This slide provides the status of the next priority products in line for regulation. The final regulations package for tires with 6-ppd will soon be sent to OAL for review and approval, and we anticipate an effective listing date of July 1st, 2023. You can see that the next priority products in line are laundry detergents containing 1,4-dioxane, tires containing zinc, nail products with MMA, and nail products containing triphenyl phosphate. In addition to the priority products slated for listing, there are a number of products or product categories that we are actively researching for potential listing. These projects are at various levels of development. At the meeting, you'll be hearing from staff regarding some of the work we are doing to refine our focus and to collect information needed to either move forward for listing or for determining not to move ahead to list a priority product. This year, we applied for and were awarded a US EPA pollution prevention grant of $350,000 to develop alternatives analysis tools and practices that address impacts to environmental justice communities. We plan to do case studies and develop guidance and training that can be shared broadly. We hope that this effort will help us identify meaningful ways to address issues and needs in EJ communities. While we may see AAs conducted for PFAS treatment products and for nail products with toluene, there's a good chance that manufacturers will choose to move to safer alternatives rather than go through the AA process. We do anticipate that the tire manufacturers will choose to conduct AAs either individually or in coordination with each other. The week prior to the GRASP meeting, SCP staff will travel to Washington State to attend a collaborative innovation forum on functional substitutes to 6-ppd in tires. This meeting is a collaborative effort with our colleagues at Washington's Department of Ecology and the University of Massachusetts Toxics Use Reduction Institute, including our GRASP member Molly Jacobs. The forum will convene innovators in the tire and anti-degradant industries to discuss the challenges and opportunities to develop safer alternatives to current anti-degradants. This will prepare SCP staff for the work that will be required during development and review of AAs for 6-ppd in tires conducted by tire manufacturers. This year, we've continued our engagement with the Association for the Advancement of Alternatives Assessment, or A4, on AA workshops and information sharing. Additionally, in November, Director Williams attended the GC3 Innovators Roundtable and spoke on a panel discussing how to accelerate development of green and sustainable chemistry. Additionally, we have begun the first stages of updating the SCP AA Guide to reflect lessons learned to date and to provide additional information on the growing field of alternatives assessment and analysis. You may remember that our efforts to initiate the final phase of our regulations, regulatory response, were put on hold pending a lawsuit filed by the American Chemistry Council and General Coatings on behalf of spray polyurethane foam manufacturers. I'm very happy to report that in November, the 5th District Court of Appeal ruled in favor of DTSC on all causes of action in the lawsuit. In addition to the specific findings, the court's analysis thoroughly examined the statutory scheme, its legislative history and intent, and clarifies the regulatory framework established by the Safer Consumer Products regulations. The court's opinion strongly affirmed the program's regulations and actions. We will now proceed to implement the regulatory response provisions of the regulations by issuing notices of proposed determinations to SPF manufacturers in early 2023. The California legislature acted this year to pass a variety of bills of interest. The most important bill to SCP was SB 502, authored by Senator Allen. This bill provides SCP with important new authority, allowing us to rely on alternatives analyses conducted by others so long as they meet our regulatory criteria. Additionally, new authority to request manufacturer chemical ingredient information, sales information, and supplier information will provide us with information that has been very difficult to obtain. Failure to comply with SCP requests may result in fines of up to $50,000 per violation. The bill also requires that we provide additional information in the 3-year priority product work plans we produce. This new authority to obtain ingredient information should make it easier and less time-consuming to do product research. Our recent experience in doing the Nails Products Call-In project will also be very helpful in implementing the process of information data collection and analysis. I also want to highlight 3 bills this year that address PFASs in consumer products. AB 1817 and AB 2771 ban the sale of textiles containing PFAS and cosmetics containing PFAS, respectively. These bills define PFAS similarly and have delayed implementation dates. These bills will hopefully stimulate development and use of PFAS-free products, but they are limited in their ability to ensure PFAS alternatives are safe and to ensure that the laws are enforced. AB 2247 would have required the department to develop an information web portal for annual disclosure of PFAS uses in California. This bill was vetoed largely due to anticipated costs of implementation. On this slide, I wanted to let you know that in addition to the SCP program, our staff are responsible for implementing California's brake pad laws, which limit copper and other heavy metals in brake friction materials. Most of the work to implement this law was done earlier, but DTSC is still responsible for processing manufacturer requests for extensions to meet upcoming 2025 limits and for enforcing the law. This year we have drafted, in conjunction with the Water Board, a report to the legislature on the implementation of the program. We hope to issue this report by the end of the year. The next few slides address our current efforts to expand our program capacity. As reported last year, DTSC worked with the legislature and administration to institute fee and revenue reforms that significantly augment DTSC resources, enabling us to meet our mandates in each of our 3 core programs: cleanups, hazardous waste, and safer consumer products. Also new this year is the establishment of the new Board of Environmental Safety. The new board is made up of 5 amazing women who will help DTSC move forward by setting fees, overseeing permit appeals, and reviewing our performance and priorities. We are very fortunate that this year's SCP budget includes 37 new positions, primarily in scientific and engineering classifications. You can see the general breakdown here. In this slide, you can see how we are changing our organizational structure to incorporate new staff. We are moving from a program of 1 branch with 3 units and 41 total staff to an organization with 3 branches, 12 units, and 78 total staff. This reorganization meets a variety of needs, providing better supervisor to staff ratios, creating new units to meet operational needs, and providing enough resources to develop and maintain a credible level of production through all phases of our regulatory framework. Our previous organization focused on three broad areas: priority product research and selection, regulations development, and alternatives analysis. The new organization expands on each of these areas and also creates new units with primary responsibility for regulatory response actions, toxicology and exposure assessment, data science and analysis, market research, and external communications and environmental injustice engagement. The new organization will still be largely matrix managed on a project basis, but we will essentially double our bandwidth and be looking to expand our skill sets and capabilities with new staff. I'd also like to highlight the work we've done to establish our Early Career Scientist program, where we recruit and hire interns and scientific aides to work on specific SCP projects and initiatives. This year we had 4 interns and 2 scientific aides, and they have been extremely productive and great contributors. Each intern and aide is assigned a senior scientist mentor. Of course, with this great opportunity comes a lot of work and challenges in change management. Along with our core deliverables in implementing the regulations, hiring great staff is our #1 priority this year. We have already hired 8 of the 12 supervisors, 6 of which are new supervisors promoted from within our program. We are fortunate to have a great team, and we are in the process of major recruitment and hiring efforts scheduled primarily in January and February. We will be recruiting for specific skills and abilities to complement our existing staff, and we hope to attract a diverse and outstanding group of candidates. We will let you know as job listings are released, and we'd appreciate your help in spreading the word about opportunities to work in our program. Another area of progress this year is in our collaboration with US EPA, other states, and various professional organizations. Our new EPA DTSC MOU on safe and sustainable chemistry was signed in August, and we have been meeting with ORD and OCSPP staff to identify specific projects for collaboration. We are concurrently updating our West Coast MOU modeled after the EPA MOU, and we meet regularly with our colleagues in Washington and Oregon to share information, coordinate, and collaborate. We also stay actively engaged with a number of state and local government and professional organizations that share mutual objectives and missions. Lastly, I want to share that we've updated our SCP web pages and now have a page that highlights the various scientific papers we've published, educational videos, and recorded talks of interest. I've provided links here to 2 papers by SCP staff published this year on 1,4-dioxane. We've taken the GRASP advice to publish papers seriously, and there are several new papers currently under development and review. This concludes our 2022 SCP update. I'd like to acknowledge and thank our amazing SCP staff who do all the work and who bring their passion and commitment to their work every day. I'd also like to thank the GRASP members for their continued time, energy, and support for the program, our staff, and our mission. We appreciate your wisdom and support. Thank you.